This question reads, simplify 3x minus 9x squared all divided by 3x, where x is not equal to 0. Now let us solve this question and see the final simplification form of this particular expression. Solution. Let us repeat the expression and then undergo a methodology to simplify it. So the expression is 3x minus 9x squared, all divided by 3x. Please take note that the x is not equal to 0. This makes the entire expression defined. Before we simplify this particular expression, we need to know the nature of this expression. Now, this entire expression is an algebraic fraction. The reason is, if you check this particular expression, we have a variable or the unknown as x. Now, there is x at the numerator and there is x at the denominator. X represents an unknown number, and an unknown number is algebra. Any expression with an unknown or a letter or a symbol becomes algebra. And from algebra is when we have algebraic expressions. So in conclusion, this particular expression is an algebraic expression. That is how come we have the word algebraic. Now the fraction is from the fact that this entire expression is made up of a numerator part and then a denominator part. So the numerator is the upper part of the fraction and the denominator. That constitutes a fraction with a division sign in between them. So we can now conclude that this is an algebraic fraction because there is an algebraic expression in the form of a fraction. Please take note that an algebraic fraction do not contain an equal sign. With that being said, we need to go ahead and then simplify this algebraic fraction into its simplest form. To do this, let's first of all consider the nature of the expression at the numerator and also the one at the denominator. There is a key thing to consider when you're about to simplify an algebraic fraction. Now, this algebraic fraction is a single term. That is to say, it is just one entire fraction that we see right now. So when we consider the numerator, we have to take note of the nature of the letter or the variable or the unknown in this particular expression. Now, the numerator has the variable's highest power to be 2. That is to say, 9x squared. There is an x squared at the numerator. If you see that the variable or the letter has a power, please consider a factorization. That means you need to undergo factorization. So let's try and factorize the expression at the numerator part of this entire question. So to factorize, let us separate the numerator, which is 3x minus 9x squared. This is a rough work to get my final factorized expression. So if you check, you realize that we have 3x minus 9x squared. This is a binomial. A binomial is any expression that has two terms. So the first term is 3x, and then the second term is minus 9x squared. In view of this, we have a common part of the two terms. 3 has a multiple of 9. That means 3 itself is a factor of itself, and the 9 is a factor of 3. That is to say, if you take the multiples of 3, you will get a part whereby 3 will multiply a counting number to give 3 and still multiply another counting number to give 9. We can now factorize 3 out as a common factor. So that will be our first common factor. With that being said, let us go to the letter, which is the variable x or the unknown x, and see whether we can have a common factor. The first term has x to the power 1 or x. And then the second term has x squared, x to the power 2. So that means there is a common factor for x in the first term and x in the second term. That is to say x out. The one with the least power must come out as a common factor. Now you can open the bracket. Now you take the first term, which is 3x, and then you divide it by 3x, which is a common factor. So I'm trying to say that 3x as the first term divided by 3x as the common factor. You realize that the numerator and the denominator are the same. So a number cancels itself 1. So 3x will cancel itself 1 and still cancel the 3x at the numerator 1. And we know that 1 divided by 1 will produce 1. So it means that if 3x as a common factor divides 3x as the term, we get the answer as 1. So we place it here in the brackets. Let us now take the next term, which is minus 9x squared. So that term, we will use the common factor 3x to divide that term. So we divide it by 3x. Now let's do our divisions. Now 3 as a number will cancel itself 1. That is, it will divide itself 1. And then we divide negative 9 as negative 3. So then we have x also dividing itself 1 and dividing x to the power 2 or x squared as x. So that means x will divide one of the x's from here, remaining with x. So we have negative 3x as the final answer. So negative 3x divided by 1. The reason is at the numerator, we have negative 3x remaining at the numerator. And at the denominator, we have 1 times 1. That is 1. So negative 3x all divided by 1 gives us an answer of negative 3x. So we will go and replace this negative 3x for that answer. So negative 3x or minus 3x. So it means that at the end of the factorization, we had 3x into bracket 1 minus 3x. Now that we have been able to factorize the expression at the numerator, we can do the substitution with the factorized form of the expression. So now the entire question will now become, at the numerator, it will be 3x into bracket 1 minus 3x. That is a factorized form of 3x minus 9x squared. Then the denominator will be maintained as 3x. Now, if you check the numerator and the denominator, there is a common term. At the numerator, there is a multiplication. That is to say, 3x into bracket 1 minus 3x is a multiplied form. 3x is multiplying 1 minus 3x. That is, 3x is against the bracket. So if you check the denominator, since we have 3x at the denominator, we have the chance to cancel out or divide the denominator by the numerator. This is what I'm saying. The 3x at the denominator will divide itself 1 or will cancel itself 1 and can still divide or cancel the 3x at the numerator 1. That is to say, they are no longer there. So we can now have a final answer as 1 minus 3x all divided by 1. And we have to learn this, and we have learned it all these while, that any expression divided by 1 or any number divided by 1 is the same number. So finally, the answer for this particular expression will be 1 minus 3x, and that is the final answer. So the simplified form of 3x minus 9x squared all over 3x is the form 1 minus 3x. That is the simplest form of our question. So we have done what the question asked of us. We have simplified it to the simplest form. So 1 minus 3x is our final answer. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.